Let's work on the cute potion bottles for Pumpkins and Potions quilt. It's time to stitch out the cute potion bottles. There are 3 potion bottles in the quilt, and I will be using potion bottle 1 for section 2. But I've decided to stitch them all out together since they are all basically the same, just with a little variance. From the embellishment kit, each bottle will use the clear plastic vinyl and some cute little sprinkles put inside the bottle. You can see on potion bottle 3, I have used my ScanNCut to cut out the applique pieces. Potion bottle 2 does not have fabric behind the bottle other than the background fabric, and it only uses the clear vinyl. And then potion bottle 1, I am going to cut the traditional way with the applique pieces. All of the fabrics, whether they have been cut out or will be used the traditional way, do have fusible interfacing on the back. One additional thing that I am going to change, I pulled out my embellishment kit from the Kimberbell Spring Showers quilt, and I am going to use the cork that I had left over for one of the bottle tops instead of the piece of fabric. This is one reason why I don't cut my embellishments to size. These are all the leftovers from the Spring Showers quilt, and now I am able to reuse for another project. Let's get started on these cute bottles. I'm in the Embrilliance Essential software, and I am going to merge the potion bottles with the background quilting. The last tube I used was my 7x12, and the potion bottles are going to be stitched out in the 5x7. So I will come to the Preferences folder, choose my 5x7, and then to enlarge it, I will go to the compass and select the H. Now I will bring the background quilting and potion bottle 1 into the hoop. To open the file, you can go to the Merge Stitch File icon and find your file that way. An easier way to bring in multiple files is to open the folder where you keep the files. I will go to the quilting bundle. The directions say to use Halloween 8, however that's not really one of my favorite designs, so I am going to be using Halloween 9. Block by block. And I need the 4x6. I will drag and drop it into the hoop. Now I will go back to the embroidery files, and I need to find potion bottle 1, and I will drag and drop it into the hoop. Now because I'm in software, I am going to make the changes to the background quilting. I will open up the quilting, and the first step is the placement for the batting, and we do need that. The second is the tack down of the batting. I cut my batting to size, so this is a step that I don't need. Step 3 is the placement for the fabric, and our fabric with the Kimberbell designs is much larger. This is only about 1/4 of an inch past the batting line, so that is a step that I also will skip. But since I'm in software, I will delete these 2 steps. I will select step 2, hold my shift key down, select step 3, and hit delete on my keyboard. So now I have the placement for the batting, the tack down of the fabric, and then the background quilting. Again, deleting these steps is completely optional. You can choose to run all 5 steps of the background quilting, or if you decide to skip them, you can skip them right at your machine. There's also one other thing I'm going to do with the bottle. The very last step of the bottle is this placement line, and that is just for digitizing purposes to bring the bottle in. And so this is a step that is not stitched out, and again, because I'm in software, I will select that and hit delete on my keyboard. There is a step number 4 that will be these 4 little corners. These are placement lines so that we can place our clear vinyl labels. These will be removed when the block is complete. I will go to File, Save Stitch File As, and I will name my block. I will put it in my Combined Files folder. I will save it, and then I will add it to my USB, and I will take it to my machine. I will do these same steps with bottles 2 and 3. Let's start with Potion Bottle 1. I will select Embroidery and then my USB, and I will go to my Combined Files folder. And I will select Potion Bottle 1 and set. Now I need to change my hoop size, so I will go to Settings, and I am going to change it to the 5x7 hoop and hit OK. And then Embroidery. I like to select the plus and minus needle, and that will give me the option to either skip or go back a step if I need to, and it also shows what I will be stitching out. I will have this roll of stabilizer attached to my hoop. I have it coming off the left-hand side. I have a little bit of slack so that nothing gets jammed up while we're embroidering, and that way I can save on stabilizer. To mention something. With this bottle, I did the traditional applique where I laid the entire piece of fabric over the placement line. Then I tacked it down, and then I cut the excess fabric. And now it's getting ready to do the satin stitch. And you can see there's the outside stitch, and then there is a stitch inside. And that raw edge is, of course, in the middle, so it will be completely covered. And I wanted you to notice that the fabric is a little bit larger than when I did the ScanNCut. It's a little bit closer, the raw edge, to this outside line. And so that's, again, another reason when I use the ScanNCut, I like to enlarge it so that it will tack down and be more like a traditional applique. It's time to place our label that we made earlier onto the bottle. The little corner marks that it just stitched are for you to line up that clear vinyl. You do need to tape. This is very slippery. And then it's going to stitch about 3/4 of the way around the bottle. and then we will fill it with the sprinkles. But look how cute that is. These corner marks that it just stitched will be removed when we're done with the block. Let's finish this up. So I've removed the tape, and you can see that the vinyl is tacked from about the top of the label around to the other side. It's open and it's ready for us to put our little orange bubble glitter. You can use a chopstick, or this is a turning tool. You would just put this inside to kind of open it up. If you wanted to use a chopstick, I'd probably use the thicker end. And that will just help keep it open while you're pouring the glitter inside. Now the directions say to pour as much as you want. You don't have to use the entire little packet. I haven't decided because I'll just see how it looks. And it does say to do it 1/2 inch to get all the glitter 1/2 inch below these top lines where it's stopped stitching. And that's probably going to be a little bit hard to do. But what's going to happen after we fill is it's going to tack down. This tack down is right in the middle of the satin stitch. So it's going to go up this side across and then down the center to enclose that. So our glitter doesn't necessarily have to be below this line. It just can't be overlapping the satin stitching, because we wouldn't want our needle to hit these little sequins. They're plastic and they could break a needle. So as long as they're not overlapping into the satin stitch, we should be good. So I have all the glitter that I want. I have maybe a little bit less than half left. I'm doing more than one quilt, so I'm actually going to save this. I bought 2 embellishment kits, and I think I will have enough to do 2 quilts per embellishment kit, so I'm going to save that. You can see glitter everywhere. I wanted to show you these pieces of glitter are actually outside and won't be caught in the stitching because the stitching will stop right here. Might push this little one in. And you can see I've got a bunch of glitter up here, but nothing is overlapping except for this little tiny one. I might try to push him in or get him off. None of that little glitter is overlapping the satin stitching, so I will be fine. And I actually like that it's up there. And of course, once this is out of the hoop and completely done, you can manipulate it and get more of this glitter up here if you want. It's just for the purposes, of course, of sewing that it needs to be mostly below. I'm done stitching the clear vinyl down, and you can see that all went well. These little pieces up here did not cause a problem because they weren't overlapping the satin stitching. So now I need to trim this excess vinyl off. I will cut it just slightly outside of the satin stitching, or maybe right next to the satin stitching. I will be using my small curved straight scissors. They give the smoothest cut, especially for raw edge applique, which this is, because there will be no other stitching over the edge of that vinyl. If you use curved scissors or double curved scissors, they tend to leave kind of a scallopy smile cut because the blade is curved. They're great when you say do applique, like to cut the bottle. That would have been a great choice. But if I'm doing the raw edge Then I use my little curved straight scissors. Ready to do the bottle top, and then our bottle will be done. This little burnt orange piece of fabric was meant for the top, and it would be super cute, but I decided to use cork. I had a lot of cork left over from my spring showers quilt, and I think the bottle tops would be super cute in cork. So that's what I'm going to use. Our first bottle is done, and it is so cute. I will take these out when I'm done with all 3 bottles. I decided to go ahead and use the shadow, which is the dark charcoal color. It's not the black, for the top instead of brown. I just thought that would go better with the bottle, and that's what the directions call for. So even though I used the brown cork, I went ahead and did the outline with the darker, and that's just so adorable. So now I'm going to just move my stabilizer to the side and go to bottle 2. So I will go home, and it asks if it's okay to cancel. Yes. I will go to embroidery, my USB, back to the combined files folder, and I need to find bottle 2. Set. And of course my hoop size is already correct, and I will select embroidery. And now we'll follow the same steps. Bottle 2 is going to be a little bit different, as there is no background fabric for the actual bottle. Let me show you the directions so you can see a close-up. So here is the background fabric, which is our polka dot, and there will just be our cute little label that we made over that background fabric, and it will just be a clear bottle with the little sprinkles inside. So there is no placement line for the fabric because there is none. So we will go straight after quilting to placing our label along these corners, and I will tape on all 4 edges, and then we can tack that down. And here you can see a better look at just the first tack down. It was the same on this bottle, but it was hard to see because they were all dark fabrics and dark thread. So it does the lower half. Then we can put this back and add our sprinkles. So let's go do that. to finish bottle 2. The last thing I have to do is the bottle top. And it was meant to have this orange fabric, which is the same as the label. And here's a picture of it again. And that's super cute. But when I decided to use cork, I was originally just going to use it on the first bottle. But I decided now that I am going to use it for all 3 bottles. I love the cork. I think it's super cute. So I am going to use it. I will do the exact same thing, however, whether it's cork or whether it's a little piece of fabric. I will place it, do a tack down, and then trim around it. And I will do the little stitching around with the dark thread. So this is all, and we'll be done with bottle number 2. On to bottle 3. So it asks if we finished embroidering, which we are. Then we'll go home. It'll say to cancel, and we'll say okay, and we will go back to embroidery, our USB, and the combined files folder, and go down to the last bottle, bottle number 3. Set, embroidery. And then I go to this plus minus needle so that if I need to skip or go back. And now we're ready for our 3rd bottle. Bottle 3, and remember I cut this out with my ScanNCut. Again, I did forget to enlarge it, so I did put spray adhesive on the back and placed it down, so I'm hoping that the tack down will catch a little bit of that before I do the satin outlining. You might be able to see it did catch a few places, not a lot, but enough to hold it down. Again, that's why enlarging helps when you use the ScanNCut. So let's finish the satin stitch. I wanted to point out again that the inside line and the outside line, you can tell that the raw edge is right in between, so there's really no issue once it does the satin stitching. Again, with the ScanNCut, it's not that you have to enlarge it so that the satin stitching will cover it. It's mostly that you enlarge it so that the tack down will hold the piece of fabric until you can get the satin stitching done. So again, I hope that makes sense. So I think I'm going to take some out and not put quite so many, because down at the bottom you can't really tell that they're spiders, and I liked when you could see. So I am going to take a little bit out so that maybe I can see a little bit better that those are spiders. can see how much I took out, and you can see how much more still in the package. I would probably have enough to do all 4 of the quilts that I'm doing. I tried not to put any behind the cute little stitch spider, but at least you can now see that they look like spiders, and I did leave a couple up here. So I like that much better. Here is a little piece that I cut with my ScanNCut, but again, I decided to use the cork. Here is a picture of it with the fabric, and it's very cute, but I love the cork. So I am going to finish this bottle off. Oh my gosh, these bottles are so cute. So the first and the third have the quilting that does not go into the seam line. The second bottle has the stitching that does run in the seam line. So we will cut from the front, but I will go ahead and take out the basting stitches for all 3, and then cut the stabilizer away from the seams as close as I can get, and then I will press and cut them to size. And of course, I will remove all of these little guidelines. Again, here is the background quilting that goes into the seam allowance. So normally we cut right next to the batting, but you can tell there's a seam, so there will be a little bit of stabilizer in the seam allowance, but we got the bulk of it out. Now I'm going to press and cut these to size. When I press these, I will not press directly on the vinyl because it will melt, so I will press them for the most part upside down. I will press with either a Teflon sheet or a piece of muslin as a pressing cloth, but don't be alarmed if you turn it over and you see condensation built up. It's just because of the heat, and it will go away. Let's get these pressed. So I decided to cut these from the front, and I know you probably can't see, but I can see the stitching from the basting stitch, and I will use that as a guideline and make sure that everything is even, and I will cut them 4.5 by 6.5.